this lesson, we will discuss the writing process. We've been taught to write approximately since the first grade, so we have developed some beliefs about writing. Some of us may love to write, and some of us may hate writing. Most of the time, in order to improve your writing, we will need to unlearn some previous misconceptions that we have about writing, such as some people are just born good writers. Writing is a process and not a product. Donald Murray is a scholar who developed this ideology about writing being a process. What this means is that you have to be able to embrace the process and understand that you're not going to necessarily get it right the first time around, and that is okay because the process is set up to come to a final product that is worthy of reading. So, think of writing like learning how to ride a bike. When learning how to ride a bike, you did not start off by practicing the handlebar skills and then moving on to pedaling and then finally practicing how to balance. Your parents or your older brother or sibling just prompted you to get on the bike and try it. You did everything all at once. And so, writing is the same thing. You got on the bike, you fell off and you got back on, and you fell off and you got back on until you begin finally riding the bike and getting it right. So the writing process is similar. The most important thing in influencing your growth as a writer is that you believe that you can write well. If you do not believe that you can write well, all of the material and the lessons that you are provided is going to be hindered by negative thinking. In order to have a belief, we need to be motivated in order to think positive. It's easy to tell someone you need to think positive, but an individual needs to be motivated in order to put that into action. And so, one thing that I want students to be motivated by with each writing assignment is to approach it as an opportunity to learn something new. So, for each major writing assignment, in the two-time writing assignments, you will be provided, with the exception of the two-time writing assignments, you will be provided the freedom to write about what it is that you're interested in within the guidelines of the assignment. And so I say that to say, be sure to approach each assignment as the opportunity to learn something new. So here is what the writing process looks like in general. And so we have the pre-writing process, and then we go to organizing, developing a rough draft, and then transitioning to editing and revising, to proofreading our writing, and then finally publishing a product worthy of reading. Now remember, the writing process is not linear. And what that means is that these steps do not have to happen in a specific order. And sometimes it may be possible for one individual to skip a certain step, or it may also be possible to have different ways to approach the writing process. So what works for student A may not work for student B. We need a process, and English teachers such as myself, we make such a big deal about the writing process because when we do things frequently, we often don't think about the how. We just look at the end result. And so when we arise at a problem, we don't see many options in order to fix the problem. So the more you understand the writing process, the better your product will become. If we pay attention to the how, two things will happen. You will become aware of old habits that typically hinder your success with writing, and then also we will begin to understand that there are choices we can make when certain problems throughout this process when they arrive. Within the pre-writing stage, it is important that you choose and or narrow your topic. Here you will also determine your audience, your purpose, your tone, your point of view, and your tense. And so for your audience, I am not your audience. I may fall into whomever you choose your audience to be, but I am simply your reader. Now, if you decided to write a paper catered to educators, I would fall into that category of educators. But do not think that you are tailoring your writing to fit my specific needs. You should develop a specific audience in mind and tailor your writing to that audience. If we were to write a paper about gun control, and we had two different audiences. We had members of the NRA, which is the National Rifle Association, and members of families who have victims of gun violence. Our message would be tailored differently. Depending on where we stand on gun control, one side would agree and one side would disagree. And so your audience will essentially determine how you tailor or approach your message. When we talk about point of view, for the most part, majority of the writing that we complete in this class will be written in a third-person point of view, with the exception of the narrative. This will be written, of course, in first person. A little bit later, throughout the next few weeks, we'll talk about why the second person and the first person point of view weakens your writing when analyzing and writing argumentatively within an academic setting. During the pre-writing process here, you want to explore your topic and make a plan. When you choose or narrow your topic should pass the 3-question test. Does this topic interest me? Do I have something to say about it? And is it specific? Let's talk about this, do I have something to say about it? A lot of times we are hindered when it comes to writing because we feel as if we need to know what we want to say before we actually write. Let's reword that to, do I have many thoughts about it? You do not have to know what you want to say in order to start writing. You need to have some ideas, but we're going to use writing as a tool to develop our ideas onto paper. Your topic should definitely interest you, because if it doesn't interest you, you won't be interested in learning something new about that topic. We'll also briefly touch upon making the familiar strange, meaning approaching a topic that's familiar to you, but looking at it with a new set of eyes in order to dig deeper and learn something new. And then there's a specific. So all of our papers will be 3 to 5 pages. We don't have time to write a novel or to include a lot of information, and so you want to make sure that your topic is specific enough where you can fully cover it within 3 to 5 pages. Some pre-writing techniques to explore your topic are brainstorming/listing. Here is where you just jot down any ideas or words that's related to your topic. Free writing. When we're free writing, we are simply writing without taking the pen or the pencil off of the paper, and we are not worried about making mistakes. Here we allow ourselves to kind of embrace making any mistakes, and this is why it's called free writing. If we were in a classroom setting, we would complete an activity where students would write for 3 minutes straight, and so feel free to try this at home. Simply set a timer to even 2 minutes and choose a topic and begin writing, and do not take your pen or pencil off the paper. If you get stuck, just simply write what's on your mind. I am stuck. I do not know what to say next. And eventually your ideas should flow throughout the paper. Now, typically in a classroom setting, half of the class will really enjoy the free writing, while some students may feel like free writing does not fit with their needs best. So it may work for you, but it may not work for you. Clustering or mapping is where we have a diagram and you have your topic in the center, and then you draw a diagram and have things that are related to your topic. Questioning. When questioning, you will write down any question that you wish to answer, and you will then focus on finding the information to answer those questions within your paper. Think of questioning as engaging with your topic and having this dialogue. And then discussing is when you simply discuss your topic and or ideas with a peer or another instructor. And then finally, outlining. So when outlining, here is where you can either have a simple outline or a more detailed outline where you organize your paper in terms of paragraphs and what you will talk about in your paragraphs. You want to determine your audience. Your audience is composed of those who will read your essay in your mind, or those who you are catering your message to. So if you were writing to an audience whose beliefs are similar to yours, you would not necessarily have to provide as much background information as you would with someone who disagrees with you. What does my audience expect? And it says audience slash reader because this is what I expect. Standard written English, correct grammar and spelling, accurate information, logical presentation of ideas, and the last one is pretty much where students somewhat get themselves in trouble. So be sure that you follow directions of the assignment. So what are the length requirements? Remember, if your assignment, and this is written in the syllabus, if the assignment is 3 to 5 pages and you submit a paper that is 2.5 pages or 2 3/4, your paper is automatically an F because it does not meet the minimum page requirements. For time writing, what is my time limit? It is important that you know whether you have 30 minutes or an hour to complete this assignment so that you can balance your time accordingly. What does the assignment consist of? Do I have to analyze? Am I just being asked to summarize? Is research required? And what format should be used? And so since we are past week 1, we know that we are using MLA format. And in terms of using MLA format and documenting your sources in MLA, you want to be sure to use the resources around you. You are not expected to remember how to cite a book or to cite a magazine or even a cartoon off the top of your head. You are more so expected to be able to identify certain features in MLA and use the resources around you to cite your sources in MLA, such as NightCite, such as your handbook, and also the database. In terms of determining your purpose for every assignment, I have identified the purpose of the assignment that I wish students to accomplish, but pretty much we will be expressing ideas, providing information, and possibly persuading our audience all at one time. Your thesis statement expresses the main idea of your essay, and it is the central point that your essay develops or supports. And so think of your thesis statement as your GPS or your Google Maps. So just as Google Maps gets you from one place to the next or guides you from point A to point B, your thesis statement is going to guide your audience from point A to point B throughout your paper. And so everything that you discuss in your paper is going to be related to your thesis statement. Your thesis statement should also be the last sentence of your introduction. In terms of support, you want to be sure that your primary support and secondary support all is unified to your thesis statement. So the primary support, those are major ideas or examples that backs up your thesis statement. And the secondary support are the details which further explain your primary support. So you want to think of your primary support as your topic sentence. So your topic sentence is like a mini thesis statement, and whatever your topic sentence is, this is what that specific paragraph will discuss. This is what that paragraph will talk about. Some basics of good support. Your support relates to the main point. It considers the reader. So, have I provided enough information? And it is detailed and specific. During the writing stage, you should create your essay's title and compose a draft. By composing a draft, you want to think of it as a dress rehearsal, and you should take your draft seriously, but at the same time, avoid worrying about making it perfect the first time around. Your title should be creative. According to MLA, all titles should be creative. Your essay's title, it should be original, be reasonable in length, reflect your topic, and be lively and attention-getting. So think about your title as the first time or the first impression your audience has to your essay. So you want a title that's going to make someone want to read further. Your title should not be generic or repeat the assignment. So the first writing assignment is the personal narrative. So your essay should not be named personal narrative. Your title should not be in all caps. It should not be in boldface, quotation marks, underline, or italicized. Nor should it be followed by a period. Here are some effective and ineffective titles. So our topic is cheating in college. So some effective titles are Cheaters Never Win, Cheating in Higher Education, Why Do Students Cheat? Ineffective titles, Don't Do It. Well, here we don't know what it is, or cheating. Here, this is way too vague. We don't know if they're talking about cheating within a relationship, cheating within a business, or cheating within an academic setting. And then students cheat for many different reasons. Well, this sounds like this could be a topic sentence, and it's ended with a period. So it is ineffective. For your introduction paragraph, all paragraphs should be well developed, and within a college setting, well developed in my eyes means at least 5 to 7 sentences. If you are aiming higher, 7 to 10 sentences is well developed. So we are no longer in high school, and we want to demonstrate that we are writing at the college level. So your introduction should briefly introduce your audience to your topic and tell them what to expect from your discussion. So you should move from general to specific with your thesis statement as the last sentence, and this is where you get really specific. Your introduction should also get the reader's attention and set the tone for the remainder of the essay. So you'll have pretty much your hook, which will hook your readers in, your background information, and then your thesis statement. Body paragraphs should contain a topic sentence and then a support to support that topic sentence. Remember that your topic sentence is what your paragraph will talk about, is the topic of that paragraph. So when you find yourself talking about another topic, this means that you should move on and go to the next paragraph. Your conclusion should be well developed. It should refer back to the main point, but simply not repeat the thesis. Also, it should make an observation on what is written and create a sense of closure. In your conclusion, you do not want to introduce any new ideas. Your conclusion should also offer a call of action. And this means after your audience has read your paper, what do you want them to do? Suggest something for your audience to take an action about your topic. When revising, we're talking about finding and correcting problems with content. So when you peer edit, you will not be focusing on grammatical errors unless you feel comfortable pointing out a grammatical error that a classmate has made. But more so, we're looking at the bigger picture. We're focusing on the idea level. Editing refers to finding and correcting problems with grammar, style, word choice, and usage, and also punctuation. So in editing, we are focusing on the little picture, word level, opposed to content. So we will peer review in this class. And it is important that students make the peer review process useful. In my experience, both online and in the classroom, if done correctly, students actually enjoy the peer editing process. The basics of useful feedback is that the suggestions are given in a positive way. The suggestions are also specific and offer suggestions. When receiving suggestions from your peer or feedback from your peer, it's important to remember that they are just that, just suggestions. So a lot of times students are afraid to take their peers' advice. You can listen to their advice, but it's up to you ultimately to make the necessary changes in your paper. Some tips for editing and revising your paper: you want to take a break from your draft before attempting to revise. A lot of times when writing, we know what we initially wanted to say. However, when typing or even handwriting, our brain tends to work faster than we can physically type or write, and so we may skip a word or two. But when reading it back, we read the word that we skipped because we knew what we wanted to write. And so if you take a break from the writing where your mind has had some time to think about some other stuff and then come back to it and it's fresh, you'll be able to identify some of the ideas or words that you missed. Also, reading your draft out loud and listening to your words will help you identify some errors. And so this is a technique that a lot of writing tutors do or practice, have the students read their paper out loud. And if you feel uncomfortable reading your paper out loud, you can have someone else read your paper out loud. Next thing that you could do is imagine yourself as the reader. Also, look for consistent problems. So if you notice that you have an issue with comma placement, go through your paper and only focus on finding issues with comma placement. This way, you have a focus and you'll be more likely to identify all of the errors where you misplaced a comma or did not include a comma, opposed to just looking at multiple errors. Getting feedback from peers is helpful, and then also getting help from a tutor. And so the Writing Center is open this summer. They have limited hours, and their information is listed in the syllabus of how to contact them. But getting help from a tutor is also super helpful.